It's been 5 days since we started these. I've been coming down every single day and misting them and obsessively staring. And there's finally some action starting. But we have a bigger job than just misting these today. Today, we need to get this rack filled. We need to do a lot more work. This is just the beginning. There's many, many more things that really need to be started now.
This year we're growing lots of stuff that we've never grown before, and Serina didn't really know the timing for starting everything. So she's been researching really hard the last handful of days, sitting on the couch, going through all her seeds, making a list of what she has to, learn the start dates for and stuff. And she's putting together in her mind the plan for this year. And so, like she said, we have lots of stuff to start today.
I've sorted through. I have all my seeds that are stuff that I need to plant today. The rest of my seeds are up at the house. So I have a task list, a task box, and there's a lot. I think by the end of the day today, we will have the second rack into the bathroom because there's so many things I need to start in here. The seedlings that we're gonna be doing today, we're gonna be doing in the mini soil blocker. And if I'm honest, this is not my favorite tool. This is most definitely not my favorite way to start seedlings. I find it really difficult to take care of such tiny little seedlings. But a lot of the things that I'm doing today are stuff that is going to need light to germinate. So it needs to be seeds on the surface. So it's easy to seed these onto the surface. And then the other thing is a lot of what I'm gonna be seed starting today is perennials that will grow very slowly. So being in these small blocks, they'll kind of grow in that block for about 4 weeks before I then pot it onto something bigger. So doing these tiny little 3/4 inch blocks, they'll be really easy for me to pot into my 128 trays or into my 72 trays when I pot these things up. Or it's stuff that I'm starting today that is going to be going into the greenhouse in a month. So it's stuff that doesn't need to grow for very long. I just kind of need to get it germinated, get it doing its thing, and then I'm gonna pop it out when it's still really tiny. So the advantage of that is it's small, right? So what we start them onto is we use these Rubbermaid trays. We have a million hand-me-down Rubbermaids. The bins themselves break usually before the lids break, so I have so many of these kicking around, and they have a little lip. So I can put the blocks onto here, and then when I go to water it, I can flood this tray, and then the blocks will absorb the water. So I find these really easy to use, and I have them so I don't have to buy anything to do this. But this is 20 blocks. So I can fit hundreds of seedlings onto just one tray like this, and then I'll be able to empty out my seedling room next month for when I go to do my another big seed starting. So I can do a lot right now in a small amount of space because I'm using this, but they're fussy. We have a whole video about how to soil block, but that is for, the bigger soil blocks. The technique that you use for using this mini soil blocker is quite different. With the bigger soil blockers, we're cramming it into the dirt. It's very important that it's super, super wet. With the mini soil blocker, they're just too small, right? Like if we cram this into the dirt, it's not gonna happen. So you have to get handfuls of dirt and smush it in. It's, yet another reason why it's a pain in the butt. The finer your potting soil, the easier it is to work with the soil blocker. This is going to be a little bit difficult because this is just potting soil that we've kicking around, and it's kind of dirty and it's kind of chunky. But yeah, so you want to cram it in, fill it up. You don't necessarily need it soaking wet, but you want it well hydrated, and then you pop them out. So let's do this. Let's get some dirt going. muscles. Need my farming muscles back. Too small. They're not crammed, dirt's not crammed in there hard enough.
There's not very much dirt there, so you have to make sure that you get these ones full.
This is what I don't like about this mini soil blocker. It's, you know, this takes forever, right? To make sure that they, you know, and it gets easier as I go. But if this was, because this is basically the same size as a 200 seedling tray, which I own, so I could use. But to fill a 200 tray, you know, I just fill the dry dirt, water it, done, super easy, super fast. Whereas fighting to get this damp soil perfectly into the soil blocker, you know, is very fussy for me. But to pull the 200 seedlings out of the 200 trays is very fussy for me too. So that's where I'm at with soil blocks. They're pain in the butt, but they're easy when you go to plant. They're easy when you go to transplant. So you get that perk on it. But there's no solution that is zero labor. Is basically the moral of everything for farming. Well, 60 soil blocks. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Growing for Market magazine. Growing for Market magazine has been the trusted source for organic farmers for over 31 years. It doesn't matter if you're a commercial grower or you just want to grow like one. With thousands of archived articles that are easily searchable with a full access subscription, you'll find the info that you need. All articles are written by farmers for farmers, and it doesn't matter if you love growing veggies or flowers, if you're selling at the farmer's market or doing a CSA, bootstrapping tools or using professional greenhouses, there will be an article for you. Subscriptions start as low as $30 per year. Check out the link below in the description to get 25% off any new subscription at growingformarket.com.
What's up? Oh yeah.
For some reason, when it was really spaced between this one because it goes side to side. So when it came out, it was like super spaced out.
Probably feel. This is kind of taking forever, Serina.
Yeah, I know. Need to get you on soil block duty.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna put the other thing that takes forever is dropping the teeny tiny pinprick seeds into each of these little holes, which is definitely a Serina job. So I'm gonna stick you on soil block making.
Serina did the math and she figured out that we really only needed 2 more of those lids covered in the small soil blocks and then a couple of the smaller lids as well to start all the seeds that she's going to start today. So that's not as much as I was originally thinking that we had to do. I thought it was going to be more like 10 of these and these take forever. So it's not too bad. She's upstairs, she's just finishing dinner and I'm down here working away and you know, I've already got almost one of the big ones completed. So I only have that. And then, you know, like just a little bit more after that. So things are going all right, but I thought I'd stop and I'd just talk quickly about these. These really aren't very fun to make. It goes so slow. And I find that it's probably it's like 10 times easier to pack stuff into the middle ones compared to the outside ones, especially the corners. And so the only thing that I can say is just, you got to take the time, put your 4 fingers across and just go do. squish all of them in after you do your first kind of like packing the material in, and then pack some more material in, and then maybe even do it again if you found that there's like still a bunch of space in there. But you have to really focus on packing it in around the outside, because otherwise they're not even usable. They get to be so small. So there's no quick way about doing these soil blocks. The trays are all done now. I'm gonna go back up to the house and check with Serina. I think I'll get her to come down here and finish seeding these while I put the kids to bed.
Hey, Daddy.
Hey, do you wanna come down and seed all the trays?
Yeah. I put the children to bed.
All right. I'm just here finishing up this video. This video is pretty cool. We filmed it at night during the summer and planned to make it a little later, and then we completely forgot about it. And the footage looks amazing.
Well, that's fun, but I need to go outside and finish up the seed starting.
Yeah, you got 2 big trays and 2 small trays. I don't know if that's enough for you, but it should, get you started.
Earlier on, I got 1 tray of seedlings finished, so it feels pretty good to have that done. And Ian has made up all those blocks for me, so it shouldn't be too much to get everything else into the trays. The amount of time that it takes to do the seedlings is a little bit dependent on how big the seeds are. This tray that I did here, you can clearly see the seeds. You can see how large these are. So they're pretty easy to work with. And then I have some like tiny little seeds. These are the ones that I hate, but I just sprinkled a million onto it. So this actually went really fast too. So what I got here is I got some yellow yarrow, I have some ammi, orlay, scabiosa, and then these are 2 different types of calendulas. So these went pretty fast, but some of my other seeds, they might be those teeny small ones, and then it's gonna take me more time. Making pretty good progress though, because there isn't very much left in this box of things to do. I have my dianthus that I still need to do. I have a few more snapdragons. I have my rudbeckias in here. I have a few different types of rudbeckia, and then I also have a few different types of feverfew, as well as some stock. And then I have some perennials here. I have my Euringium, and I have my perennial scabiosa, and those I'm going to be putting into these smaller trays here. So I just need to get working. I just need to do this. I'll work at it an hour tonight. If I don't get it done, I can come down and do another hour tomorrow. This is a small job for seed starting. It's a nice way to start into the season. It can be a little bit intimidating to come and do these jobs. When we're doing something on the farm scale, it means that needing to start some seeds isn't as simple as, a fun hour down here in our seed starting space. It can mean that I need to do 100 trays. It can mean that the job is going to be 10 hours of work. I'm gonna be handling thousands of tiny seeds, things that just like make me go cross-eyed because they're so hard to stare at. So it can feel overwhelming at this point of the year, but that's not the case for today. That's not the case for tonight. Doing this is still 100% a pleasure. This is 100% fun. The amount of work to come water the things is, it's like a half an hour once a day to come and take care of my babies. The amount of work that it is to get these first rounds of seeds started is, a few hours. It's fun to be down here, to be working with Ian, to get our hands in the dirt. And it's a good way to ease ourselves into the season, because by the time, where are we at? By the time March hits, that's like full on time. There's going to be a lot of things that are need to be started in March. By the time April hits, we're now working inside as well as outside. By the time May hits, everything should have been transplanted. The work really starts to snowball. But I love it, right? I love the work. So it's not hard to say that this is a fun day. Getting to see our first bit of green, getting to put our first 1,000 seeds into the ground. We have our seeds planted at this point, but this isn't the end of things that need to get done now. So today we need to get our Ranunculus started. The Ranunculus, they are these crazy little dried out squid things. They look like they're little aliens. And what you need to do is you need to soak them for a few hours, and then you put them into soil, damp soil, and you put them into a cold spot and wait till they root before you can plant them outside. You get them started a little bit. So we're out here right now. It's the middle of the day. We're gonna soak these, and then later on tonight we'll be able to come out and get them into the dirt. I am gonna use some jars to soak these. We're only gonna do half of the container. This is pretty early. Last year we started our Ranunculus in mid-March and they did excellent. But this year I want to do some of them into the greenhouse, maybe get them to start a little bit earlier and get a little bit of a longer season. Ranunculus goes until the weather gets hot, and here the weather actually gets hot quite early. So our season is limited. So yeah, I'm doing half of all the ones that I ordered in the fall, all of my Amadine series, and then I saved some from last year. We're gonna soak up some of those. I don't know if they're good. When I soak them, I'll kind of get a better idea. If everything works out, I have enough to do 3 full beds. And last year we had, just short of 1 bed. It'd be incredible to have that many Ranunculus.
Okay, what's the next step?
Next, we have to get our Ranunculus.
Precious golden ones. They look pretty good.
We'll have to soak them to see. They could be rotten. They could be a little bit too dark. They're just crispy and hard now.
There's so much of them. Imagine if this like works out really well for us. We could have like so much Ranunculus.
We could have a Ranunculus farm. It's pieces like this that have me concerned. You know, you can kind of see comparison-wise, the color is darker, and then on the tips, you can definitely see the black on the tips. The Ranunculus is really susceptible to rotting, but because they're so tiny, it's not necessarily super obvious. So, yeah, and like then to compare it against these, right? They're very dark.
Yeah.
So.
But that could be our soil too. Our soil is because these grew in our composty dark soil, right?
Yeah, it could be that they're dirty. There's lots of ways that these still work out.
Yeah.
Even
if 75% of them survive and 25% have rot, or even
if 75% are rotten and 25% make it. And I only spent a few hours to be able to collect these. We ripped them out of the ground, rinsed them off. They were very easy to collect, so it's not a huge waste if they don't work out.
Yeah, they're not as bulky as the dahlias.
Yeah,
They
and they're very easy to store, right? We are super dry here. We have no humidity. All you need to do is keep these in a dry place. It wasn't even like, oh, I have to keep them at a certain temperature. They're literally dried out. So, you know, the work of storing them is so little because of our conditions, the space to store them. So it really isn't a big risk if this does nothing.
These are the best ones.
Yeah, these are precious. These are the beautiful yellow ones. We love the yellow ones so much. What we have coming, right? Because the order that we have here, these like white and bonbon and marshmallow, they're all like more the pastel colors. And the order that we have coming, which we got from Unicorn Blooms, is brights. We ordered more yellow, and we ordered orange, and we ordered red, and we ordered neon pink. So I'm really excited about what we have coming.
The thing about these ones is people didn't see it as yellow, they saw it as gold. Like it really looked, it really was very punchy in person.
Yeah, they were gorgeous. You know, and the other thing too is my goal with the flowers is to specialize into these brighter colors. Everyone around us in the flower farms, they all grow these like softer, romantic, more wedding palette colors. We are going to differentiate ourselves because we are going to be growing the brights. And down at the market, people want the bright stuff. So having those bright colored ranunculus, you know, when there maybe isn't very many bright colored flowers available is going to be a perk for us.
Okay, you gotta hurry up. We've got a parent-teacher conference in 3 minutes.
Actually?
Yep. It takes a minute to walk back up to the house.
Well, this is all that's left. This is the end.
Okay. How do they look?
They're looking pretty good. You know, this is mine in like the pink and white, right? Because I was worried that they're not going to look good, you know. And then here they are, you know, comparable, right? They look really similar, right? So
They lightened up.
yeah,
Because
so
they were really dark before.
yeah, and there's some pieces in here, right? Like this is definitely like rotten. Like that shouldn't be dark like that.
Yeah, it looks squishy too.
Yeah. You know, I found one that's definitely rotten to be able to do for comparison. Right? So it's like smushy, you know, it's wrinkled, it's not looking firm like these ones. You know?
This looks really good. I'm super excited.
Yeah.
That is a lot. That's a lot.
My one thing is, so that's a pink and white, which we don't really care about. The yellow is my precious.
Oh, the yellow is so good.
And the yellow, you know, they're not looking quite as good. There's a lot more that I'm like,
like those ones
is
right
that
there,
rotten?
that one looks pretty rotten.
And I don't know, right? You know, and
But I still see lots in there.
yeah, but there's some, but they're smaller, right?
Yeah.
The tubers just weren't.
But if a good percentage of those turn out, then Like that's a lot.
So much yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were like, they just caught people's attention so well.
I mean, no matter what, as long as it's not like the hottest spring that's ever happened, because the ranunculus don't like heat. As long as we have a nice, normal spring, you know, I'm confident that we're gonna be pumping out thousands of ranunculus blooms. It's gonna be exciting. At this point, the next step is we need to get trays of dirt. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put these into like a 72 tray, one little cluster, one little corm for every single space in the 72 tray, and then we put them someplace cool and we wait for them to sprout. Bye. I am going through the bucket because we just very roughly put these away. So they still have a lot of stem. So I'm going through and I'm cutting the stem off, and I'm looking for any rotten pieces just to limit as much rot as possible when we're pre-sprouting them. But yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful that these are gonna work out.
Appalachian sunrise meets my skin. Even with my eyes still closed, I can feel it coming in. Golden, golden, I'll follow only golden, 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 golden things. Mountain laurel high fives for miles in spring. Rainbow trout and a hummingbird wing. Golden,
Triple splitter.
I'll follow only golden. Golden, golden things. Gold hair, gold rings, gold leaves, gold anything, golden. I'll follow only golden, golden, golden things. Walk up the river by my son. Feet step over splinters of the